everybody, Kara Castronova here at the White House with Mike Lindell, who's visiting today. And right behind us, there is a group of reporters gathered, hoping that Jeanine Pirro will stop and take some questions. Who you happen to know. What are your thoughts about Jeanine and the job she's doing so far?
I think she's doing a great job. I just told her that when we just met a little bit ago. I hadn't seen her in a while, but we became very good friends, going clear back to 2016. And she back then, obviously she wasn't doing what she's doing now, but she's been very good at everything she does, and I'm really proud of everything she's doing. I told her that.
So one of the topics that is making the rounds in the news today, which is probably what she's talking to over there doing her news hit, is that she is not going to crack down on the laws that DC has been using against people that have long guns. So she's not cracking down on that. That sort of goes in hand with the constitutional decision by the Supreme Court that New York and DC are breaking the law when they're banning people from carrying shotguns and rifles, and there's federal cases against these individuals, which they're going to drop. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a hunter. I'm going hunting in 2 days. Obviously, does go against our Constitution, and I'm glad that she's doing that too. I mean so in D.C. what you're telling me now, this is news to me. They're trying to go after people with all guns. Is that correct?
Yeah, they've always have. So has New York, where I'm from. It's very liberal, obviously, and there's a lot of gun control. You can't obviously carry a long gun, and people have been put in jail for this in both New York and D.C. And the Constitution obviously protects guns, and also the Supreme Court and decisions in the past couple years said what they're doing is unconstitutional in liberal cities. So I guess a lot of the mainstream media is sort of painting it like, oh, with the crime spree in D.C., now Jeanine Pirro is letting people carry long guns, but I don't think the two are related. Obviously, it's the criminal, not the gun, that's the problem.
Right, absolutely. So she's on the side of, yes, you could have long guns, correct?
She is, and she's not going to federally prosecute people just for carrying one around.
Exactly. It's like, if that was the case, just think of when my phone was taken by the FBI back in September of 22, we had all kinds of guns in the back seat, long guns, coming back from a hunting trip, and there was no problems with that. By the way, everybody, my phone, I believe, is finally coming back. I think it might be there when I get back to Minnesota in 2 days. And we're going to do a big show on that. What did they keep it 3 years for? I mean, disgusting. I mean, 3 years they had the phone, and I thought they'd probably destroyed it by now. Or just, there's got to be something in here. Yeah, it's so I'm glad this is once again. It's a common sense is what she's doing. There's common sense. And once again, the left and the nuts out there want to put everything as far as they can. Oh, you want to do that? Okay, well, then you better do all, there's a teeter-totter, a balancing thing. And that's what our Constitution is. And that's what I think it's our Second Amendment,
Speaking of gun violence, obviously, I'm sure you have a lot to say about the shooting that happened in Minnesota,
right,
regarding the Catholic school. And a lot of people are saying it could be an issue with mental health, even people that are taking these antidepressants and drugs that change sex. Do you think that that's the problem, or is it the guns that's the problem?
No, it's the changing sex. It's the mental health. Of course, that's the problem, and they know it too. And here's, this is another reason. I don't know if you guys all know this, but I'm very strongly thinking of running for Minnesota governor. They have my home state. It's just been one thing after another to destroy the state. I remember they burned down Minneapolis 4 years ago, and these were all my friends when we were back, when I was a drug addict and stuff. And those friends, we all got off drugs. And they built their businesses back up without being, I'll keep clean to them, are born again Christians that work for me actually at my pillow. And they had businesses built up down there and they burned them to the ground, and this is all these things that are nonsensical. And you just see a manifestation of something that's a very serious with the mental health issues that, by the way, there were great things going on with my good friend Ben Carson and the president back in 2018 and 19, and they were putting into help. They were actually working with LA, and the prototype was going to be there in bed, and one of the prototypes, and it would have been amazing. And there was other cities it was done in where you're taking these people off the streets, and you're getting help with both the mental health and the addiction and all these things. And you see, what I'm saying is it's already been proven or shown that it can be done. And we got great prototypes out there where it was done. And I think in Minnesota, I mean, just lacks all leadership, all common sense has been thrown out the window, and you get these tragedies like this that happened, and they then they try and put up false things. The media, in Minnesota, the crime is down. No, what's down is our police force is down because you burned down the precinct 4 years ago, and it's probably half of what it was.
Is it true that Minnesota, now this is what I've heard, is a sanctuary state when it comes to sex changes, or at least some of the cities are?
I believe it is 100%, but I could be wrong on that because what he's done. He's made us a sanctuary city for illegals. Period. They can get driver's licenses. They can do everything. He says you can't vote. Well, you got a driver's license. You're probably voting too. I mean, all the things that Walz has done is just absolutely disgusting when it comes to illegals. And remember, there's a lot of legal immigrants in Minnesota, legal people that are there, and they're upset. They're the ones that get upset the most because they did it all legally. They came here legally, and then you have all these people here illegally. And Waltz lies. They had a thing at the state fair this year was a Waltz lies view. You spin the thing and which lie comes up. And he hasn't denied any of the lies. He goes, everybody says wrong things. It was, I misspoke on that. I misspoke on that. That's what he says. Well, when you misspeak, we excuse you on one misspoke, but when you do it, everything comes out of your mouth. It becomes quite a problem.
Would you revoke that? I just Googled it. It said in April 2023, Governor Tim Walz signed House File 146, creating a law that protects individuals seeking gender affirming care. This includes minors, so it's looked at as a trans refuge, a refuge for people that want to get transgender surgery. They will come to Minnesota. Is that something that you would fight if you did run for governor?
100% to be gone the first day, or at least try to be gone the first day. That's just, even this guy said, I believe he said, he regretted it. There's so many regrets. You have children that are, 14, 15 years old out there, across our country, that they're putting this stuff in their head. And the teachers, teachers or schools are doing this. This goes back to we taking God out of the schools. And by the way, that would be coming back to Minnesota, I'll tell you. Absolutely, these things that don't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, there's a hidden agenda. If it doesn't help anybody, and this is where Minnesota's become. Minnesota, they say, it's the next California like Colorado. No, it's worse than that, you guys, because these policies and stuff that come out of Minnesota that don't make sense, and they get by with it there because you have so much. Of course, the mayor of Minneapolis here. This just happened too, by the way. The mayor of Minneapolis is Fry or whatever his name is. They have their little primaries here with the Democrats, and this other guy won, Omar Fateh or whatever his name was. He says he wins. Well, this guy's a socialist beyond. You talk about I didn't know you could find a worse mayor in this country, but this guy would have been worse. And then all of a sudden they come back and they go, oh no, he really lost. We had problems with the electronic voting machines. Hello. Now that it happened to them, this guy was so extreme to the right, whoever was putting this in there is going, wait a minute, we can't go that far. But they remember evil's greedy and they don't,
Right.
That's what we have going for us. And I really believe, and when you talk about running for governor, I really believe that you have to have, she's down there doing another hit. It looks like walking down there. Janine, we're talking about.
Yeah, Janine Pierre's here, guys. So we're just keeping an eye because she's doing a great job and she's a friend of Mike.
And just think, you guys, here, point over there. It's in the old days, you guys, when I was speaking out here, what about in the old days when I'm speaking out about melting down the electronic voting machines, you would have every single one of them going, Mike, there's no stolen election. Come on, Mike, you're crazy. You're conspiracy theory, blah blah blah. Now look at them over there. They know I was right, so they don't even look.
We should go ambush it and just put Mike there.
Every single reporter there, as you go back to 2021, and everyone attacked me, and they're going, Mike's a conspiracy theorist. Well, now everybody knows that why 132 countries have banned electronic voting machines, which is one of the biggest reasons I'm here in D.C. Every time you see me here, my biggest thing is we've got to secure our elections, get to paper ballots hand counted, just like our president said, put out the executive order, just like Tulsi Tulsi Gabbard dropping all the evidence that I've had out there for 4 years. The stuff that's pouring out of Washington right now, it's going to keep pouring out.
Would you be concerned in Minnesota, obviously running for governor with the election law there? Is it corrupt as it is in other states?
Every state's the same too, by the way. Every state is affected by these electronic voting machines. And now, right now we have our biggest problems. We have blockers. The biggest problem are blockers. Okay. We're going to talk about that on my show this afternoon, by the way, everybody. The blockers around the country. One of the biggest, newest ones I just found out about is the Secretary of State of Alabama, Republican. And then we got Republicans in Arkansas. We got Republicans in Missouri. All these Republicans that are blocking. We're not going to stand for it. We have to secure our elections before these midterm, before the primaries, everybody. So to answer your question, I know, like in Minnesota, we have great teams in every state. I have over 300,000 people on the ground in all 50 states with Cause of America. We know and that how much we're going to be able to do in Minnesota to get things changed, to get things to paper ballots, hand counted, and across this country. The president's going to be doing, he's already done the one executive order, but the problem is their states like Louisiana are laughing at him. They're laughing. Who's the governor down there? Governor Jeff Landry. Okay, he was the attorney general. Him and I worked together to get rid of these electronic voting machines when the Secretary of State was Carl Ardwin. Now they have a new Secretary of State. Her name's Landry, too. They're not related. They're not related at all. But she is directly going against them, trying to buy more machines in Louisiana, trying to buy more machines, going, well, the White House made a statement that we were okay doing that. Lie. An out and out lie. Either you're misconstrued or you're lying. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Louisiana, the people of Louisiana do not want you to spend more money on machines, like our president said. Voting machine 10 times cheaper, 100% accuracy. There's so many things that we've answered every question of why we should go to paper ballots, hand counted, like 132 other countries. So, if you asked every single one of these, this little gaggle, point to these guys again. Look at them. It's like they don't even know me over here because they don't want to say, you know what they don't want to say? Mike was right. Mike was right. So hopefully when he does sign this next big executive order involving election platforms, hopefully Lindelltv, these guys will have to say something then. It was really great this about 2-3 weeks ago when the president was up in Alaska and he went on Fox right after that. And he kind of caught him by surprise because they're live to the world. And what did the president say? We need to get rid of the machines, go to paper ballots, hand counted. We need to secure our elections like every other country. It all starts with that. And by the way, in Minnesota, you bring up Minnesota. We did a poll in Minnesota. We're going to be telling you all about the polls. But the first poll, this is of me running, but one of the first polls was what people are concerned about. Elections platforms, Kara, made the top 3 in Minnesota. A lot of places in this country, it moved up to number 1, where they know, where it's really open, like your Georgias of the world. It's so corrupt down there, or you go to Oregon or to Utah, they're going, hey, that's our number 1 concern, because they have just pure crime there. And you wouldn't say, what do you mean Utah and Oregon? Well, it doesn't. See, all these stuff, they all have different problems. You got like Utah, they don't even have a day of voting there. It's all mail-in. There you can just take a computer and go, and the winner is, who's the winner again? And boom, type it in.
It's crazy. What are your thoughts on, so a lot of people are saying it's sort of a rumor that the executive order might have to be revised, and if they actually wind up putting one out, just because of the legal loopholes they might have to jump over, Trump's attorneys, this is sort of a rumor that's spreading around, are having a hard time figuring out how he could legally ban mail-in votes because it's up to the quote-unquote states. Do you think that election law should be federalized, number one? And number two, is another way to go around it, Trump working with governors maybe in swing states like Georgia or one of the swing states, that those are the most important, as you know, to get them to enact these laws with their trifectas?
Well, first of all, every state's as important as the other. It's not just about the swing states. Everything happens. We've got great strides in California, more so than I mean, if you got your blockers, you got to go, you got to get it done, and you need to set a precedence. Hey, here, we're doing it without, and we've done that 3 places in the country so far where we showed our hand counting paper ballots. When you talk about the mail-in ballots, what they do the same thing there as with the machines, okay, with the handicap. So you got the handicap, they're saying, oh, you got to have machines. That's what they're trying to get around this. Well, wrong. California had the best thing for that, is do it just like you did before. You can bring a person with you, or I can sign. If there's a guy standing there, a gal, and you say, hey, it's fine, you see who I vote for. It's very simple. It's very simple. You don't need machines for the handicap. They just sign off, or they get to bring someone with them, and they make that a law like California did, till they changed it because they got out in front of, well, wait a minute, they found a way around not using the machine. The mail-in voting, remember, mail-in voting, we're going to talk about a lot of this afternoon on my show. Mail-in voting, they changed that illegally in almost, I don't know how many states. I want to say 30 some states, maybe more, right when the China virus came out. It's okay to say that, right, Gaggle? When the China virus came out, all these states changed it illegally. The legislatures make the law in every state when you say at the state level for your elections. They did not get a chance to vote on it. This crooked Secretary of States and the generals in those states didn't prosecute the Secretary of State for putting all this stuff in illegally. Only one Attorney General fought and won every one, 12 cases. Attorney General Ken Paxton out of Texas protected Texas, or Texas would have been stolen in the 2020 election too. That's a fact. We have all the evidence that supports that, but because you couldn't have that early in that mail-in voting going on, he won those. Now, I will sit and tell you this, Kara. Of all those states, only 13 of them have went back prior to the China virus and put their laws back. Hey, we don't have that anomaly anymore. We don't have this China virus now. So let's go back to the way it was, which a lot of them had. We had graded all of them. My teams at every state. All of them got Fs now, because now we know that you can't use this in our elections. So no matter what you have, if you don't have mail-in voting, you don't have this. If you have machines, you still get an F. There's no getting around. And then we're talking electronic polling books that got put in, and all this crooked stuff got put in. So all that's going to go. But mail-in voting, remember, over 100 countries have banned mail-in voting worldwide. Over 100 countries, over 100 or 132 have banned electronic voting machines. So what do we have here in the U.S.? The worst combination, the worst elections in human history. There's nothing worse than the United States. Do I think you should at the federal level? You know, he can make a lot of decisions for the federal part. The states don't control that. The president and the senators and the congressmen and the legislators, they control their own. You're right. Do I think it should be changed? I think it's fine as long as we get rid of the electronic voting machines, which is going to come faster than you think. Remember, everybody, we're 4.5 years ahead of where we would be. If we didn't have all the data for this administration and all of the solution to the problem, which, by the way, every state before I even started, they all had a hand counting paper ballot system in place because in case the electronic grid went down, from all of us. So every one of them has that, okay? So they could just pull that out if they had to. But we've got way better systems. They work. And everyone says, well, you're not going to get them counted in time. Absolutely you will. You go down to the precinct level like it was before. It's very simple. We've proven that it gets done as fast as the machines with a lot better accuracy and transparent where people trust it.
How do you get a state like California to comply, or New York with, what you're saying is right. There are all these great systems, but how do you get those states to use them?
Well, we're having more problems in the red states. That's what I would say. Way more. So I'll give California for an example. Shasta County, California, when we went there, they were going to ban all machines and go to paper ballots. And the reason they couldn't, they got around it because the handicap law there was perfect, like I said. But they got out in front of us. 18 counties were going to change in California. This is 4 years ago. And 3 or 4 years ago when I ran for RNC chair, it was that same month. Now here, Newsom they got out in front of it and they changed the law. They changed the laws In other words, right in midstream, we should have been, okay, you're doing it this way for the, which should be fine. So they went and changed it. So I told my teams, hey, you guys, we can't be doing this during this Biden, whatever that administration was, this stolen administration. We have to wait till our great president is back in. So now you go back to those. Wherever you had breakthroughs, which was common sense, like California had, but then they changed it. You follow me? And a lot of these states that have that are and we had things even with San Francisco Township. They put up cast vote records right on their website. Those were Democrat, about as bad as it gets, but they put them up there, and they and we made breakthroughs there. So what I'm saying is, it's going to be. What we know we can stop is these Republicans blocking us, these uniparty Republicans. Those are the ones I'm going to call out. And our great president, I guarantee, is going to call them out. You expect to be blocked by the Democrat ones, correct? I mean, we do. We all.
No, we do. That's shocking. I didn't know that the red states were giving issues.
They're the worst. They're the worst. There's nothing worse because they don't have reasons why they're doing it. Sarah Sanders Huckabee in Arkansas. Sarah, what are you doing out there? Why are you trying to? Why do you do? I could go on and on.
Shocked by her behavior.
Go on and on about Arkansas. Horrible. What's going on in Alabama? Horrible. What's going on in Louisiana? Horrible. What's went on in Missouri? Good and bad. Is, South Dakota. There's another one. Come on, you guys. I mean, I could go on and on, but now we're going to call out these blockers, and they're not going to be able to do like they blocked. The Republican thought it was real good to just the uniparty Republicans, I call them, to block during the Biden administration because nobody would call them out like our president's going to call them out. This is what's going to happen. You will see great strides being made in the Republican areas, and once you get proof of concept, the people will demand it, like in your New Yorks and your Californias, because you have to show them. You have to show them that, hey, this is working. Because everybody, you go down the streets, you go out in the streets, everybody, Democrats and Republican, liberals and conservatives, most of them all want secure elections. They accused, this year Elon Musk did it with the computer and took it from Donald Trump, and took it from Donald Trump, Donald Trump took it, stole it, Well, okay, let's open up the machines and find out. No, they don't want them opened.
Right. Okay, well, we have about 2 minutes, Mike, before. Oh, and Janine is on the way, so let's try to get her. And I wanted to ask you another question, but first, let's try to get Janine Piero right here. Oh, I'm so sorry, I wasn't looking. John, okay.
Ask her anything on live. See if you can get a live person when she's walking up. Yeah.
I can't step in front of this camera.
Ask her like something live.
Hey, Janine, any comments on the long guns protecting the Constitution in liberal cities? Oh, okay. I don't think so. I should have, but it's too late.
Okay, go ahead.
So Janine didn't stop for a gaggle, but maybe she will next time. She is doing good work, and I do think she's protecting the Constitution in liberal cities. But we're going to wrap up. Mike, one last quick question I had for you that I've wanted to ask you a very long time. Have you ever met Jesse Abadi Ventura, the governor, and how he was also a wrestler, a Navy SEAL, and all these other cool things? Is he a cool guy? Have you ever had an interaction with him?
I have indirectly. When he became our governor, by the way, he won 34, 33, 33. It was the upset of all time in history, way before our great president. By the way, our president went out at that time to find out about this Jesse Ventura that was winning Minnesota, that won Minnesota, and Jesse Ventura was doing rallies and all this. The problem he had with Jesse back then, I was on the the Minnesota Licensed Beverage Association, and we were doing different things then with our that we needed help with, and Jesse Ventura. Both parties didn't like it. I think they disliked it so much that he got in as as an independent that he couldn't get a lot done because both parties fought it. It was disgusting.
Right.
And he had a lot of common sense ideas. Of course, he's very boisterous, but remember, everybody, this is back, I was an addict in every way. I had never voted in my life, a crack addict. I couldn't quit till 2009. I believe he won the late 90s or whatever he was in. But it did spark my interest. I go, wow, now that's interesting, a politician that's not a politician. And we had there were good things that came out of it. Woke, I think it showed there was different things he was going to do that would take me too long to tell you, but he got fought at every level, right down to the county level. And they were smart, common sense things too. And it just shows his pushback there. He didn't have he kind of blazed a trail for, I think, other people that not being in politics, that could just having common sense, because he had a lot of common sense ideas, but neither party would back. Kind of like what our president went through in his first term.
I think you would probably be the only person, Minnesota governor, that would actually be more interesting than Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll say will be. I'm still deciding. But I would just for me, it's bringing back so much common sense to our state I grew up in. It's a beautiful, amazing state. But to watch it get ruined before our eyes, and I'm speaking for all of Minnesota. I mean, you can go anywhere. I can go right downtown Minnesota or right downtown Minneapolis. It's so sad to see what's happened down there. And it's like it's ignored. You talk about our homeless there. They used to be, they do it for photo ops or whatever, and before the winter, and then they'd pull them all and they'd almost import them. It was disgusting. Now we really have these problems there, and huge problems where you see these whole encampments of homeless, and it's not just people out there in addiction. It's people that have mental issues that need help, and all these people that need help. One of the things I did when I quit crack cocaine on January 16th of 2009, when I came out of that, one of the things is over the next 3, 4, 5 years, my whole thing was to get people off addiction and get to Jesus Christ. And I set up the platform, the LindellRecoveryNetwork.org. But I was doing so many things downtown there. It's right where all this happens too. Teen Challenges down there, Salvation Army, right in the heart of Minneapolis, Union Gospel, all these things to get people off the streets and get them help. Faith-based treatment centers, faith-based, and all the stuff given away that we would give away to help down there and everything. Well, since this governor has been there, this Walz, and then the mayor, I've offered help before on different things and was turned down. We don't want Mike Lindell because he's too branded with Donald Trump. Walz actually sent out postcards to everyone in Minnesota it was right before the 2020 election, because I was talking about running for governor then. And he put it out, do you want this person in, and of course they can't bring up my old addiction days because I've already told everybody. That's like old news, right? That's like I was on the cover of the Inquirer once going, Mike's deep and dark past. Well, we already know this. Nobody even bought the magazine because they already knew about it. But with Waltz, it was different. He put out a thing, of course, bashed me for being friends with the president. It was like, okay, you don't like common sense stuff. It was like, we don't want another businessman. They make, well, what was Waltz? Some make-believe farmer,
Right. Make-believe veteran. Well,
yeah, make-believe veteran.
His veteran days were exaggerated.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we have to wrap up. Allison Steinberg is coming on next to continue DC Live after this commercial break. But Mike Lindell will be here at the White House.
Thank you. You've been a great job. She is doing a great job here.
Too. And he'll be doing his show at 2 p.m. right here from the White House lawn, right here in the chair behind him.
And by the way, our good friend and our Mayor Rudy Giuliani here on Lindelltv. I've got word he is going to do his show tonight. Did you hear that?
He's such a warrior. Is he doing it from where he is being recovery room?
Maybe he said, I don't even know if he's still in the hospital or not. I just got called from his assistant, Ted, who was the driver of the car. And that's so that'll be interesting to see. He's doing
he's like Rocky, like doing pull-ups out of his hospital bed, but he's doing the mayor's doing his show tonight, even though he was in a very bad car accident. So it just shows his character.
Yeah, exactly. And the president's given him the highest award you can give to a citizen. Was it the Medal of Freedom Award?
Yeah, so hopefully we're there for that when that happens.
Yes, absolutely. So everybody tune in I'll be back here in what time?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock Eastern time. I always get my time zones mixed up. So, but great. It's been great to be here at the White House with you all.
Thank you, everyone. And stay tuned after this commercial break. More of DC Live with Allison Steinberg next.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including Lindelltv News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to Lindell TV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in to Lindelltv. My name is Allison Steinberg, and you are watching DC Live. I'm sure you just saw our fearless leader, Mike Lindell, who is here in DC at the White House. He was there with our very own Kara Castronova. They had a great little segment there. Now we are heading over to a different area of the swamp, something new for you today. We are outside of Bank Fund. This is a credit union here in Washington, D.C., and I'll explain why this is significant. If you tuned in to Lindelltv last Friday, you may have seen a little video I did exposing Lisa Cook. She's on the Federal Reserve Governance Board. Well, not anymore because she's been fired by President Trump, although she is trying to stay in and continue working, which her boss, Jerome Powell, is allegedly allowing for the time being. But this just goes directly against President Trump and his orders for her. Ultimately, he gets to make the final call. He is the president. He is in a position where he is allowed to do that. He has fired Lisa Cook, though she seemingly is now refusing to leave. Now, the reason why we are outside of Bank Fund Credit Union is because this is the credit union where Lisa Cook got her mortgage loan. As we know, the reason for her firing by President Trump is because of mortgage fraud. She took out loans on multiple properties, made the claim that multiple properties were her primary residence. That doesn't appear to be the case. Actually, she is committing mortgage fraud in doing this. She actually has 3 properties that she claimed were her primary residence. And now much of this is being, a great deal of light is being shed on this situation. We have actually Robert Bose, who's a Trump appointee, first and second term Trump appointee, who's exposing this along with so many others. I actually had the opportunity to talk with Robert Bose right here earlier this morning outside of Bank Fund Credit Union. He gave us an awesome inside scoop. So we will be playing that interview for you very shortly here. But in the meantime, I did want to give you a little summary as to what's going on, what the latest is, a little preview of what Robert Bose and I discussed earlier this morning. So as you may know, the Federal Reserve meeting, the big meeting where they discuss rates and whatnot, is taking place September 16th, so that is just around the corner. And this is going to be a huge day. We are eagerly awaiting to hear if Jerome Powell will finally lower the rates once and for all. We know Trump has put a great deal of pressure on Jerome Powell, too late, as Trump has dubbed him, to lower these rates. So that is huge. We're going to see what happens there. According to Robert Bose, now, who I discussed this with earlier today, he came and joined us for an interview. He graciously donated some of his time and told us, actually, inside scoop, that Trump is really pushing for Powell to lower the rates by 1.5%, 1.5% reduction in the Fed rate. This would be huge. This would get us back to about 4 years ago when, things were actually good. The rates were, enticing. There were reasons to actually buy a home. Right now it's so sky high, hardly anyone can actually be able to do that. So he wants to get it back to what it was about 4 years ago. This would be substantial because, again, it would allow existing homeowners to refinance their mortgages to save hundreds a month ultimately, and then it would allow first-time home buyers to actually be able to move forward in that, allow them to have first-time home ownership, which right now is impossible. So we'll see what happens on that meeting on September 16th and whether or not Lisa Cook will be there, because as I said, she is trying to continue to weasel her way in, continue working despite being fired by President Trump. So there's a lot of anticipation around this. But getting back to Lisa Cook in this story here, the reason why we're in front of the Bank Fund Credit Union is because Lisa Cook committed mortgage fraud. She was criminal referral by Bill Pulte for designating her out-of-state Atlanta condo as her primary residence. This was just 2 weeks after taking on a loan on her Michigan home, where she also claimed as her primary residence. So we're finding now that the Bank Fund Credit Union, which you see right here behind me, is actually pretty corrupt in and of itself, which Robert Bose joined us to discuss. Again, we will give you that interview shortly here. But to sum it up for you, Bank Fund Credit Union has seemingly ties to the International Monetary Fund as well as the World Bank, two of the most corrupt globalist organizations, tied organizations that there really are. In order to take a loan out at Bank Fund, you actually have to, be a member of the World Bank or the IMF, or have a family member that works for the IMF or the World Bank. Lisa Cook had no relation to the IMF or the World Bank whatsoever, so she technically should not have any access to Bank Fund at all. The policies here strictly state that no one can have access or get a loan unless they are directly employed by or have a family member that is employed by one of these two organizations. So how Lisa Cook got a mortgage loan from Bank Fund is very troubling. Doesn't really add up. So Robert Bose reaffirmed this. He said that he didn't know how Lisa Cook had access to this. She has not worked for the World Bank or the IMF, and she doesn't have a family member that has either. So the fact that she got a loan here is certainly concerning. Then you look at I have a huge bug on me. There's these crazy bugs here in the swamp that just love to land on you. It's happened to me about 5 times a day. So if you see me freaking out, that's why. Excuse me and forgive me. I'm definitely scared of bugs. So I'm not doing well with them that keep landing on me. Okay, forgive me. As I was saying, the IMF, obviously, despite the fact that they are not supposed to, excuse me, Bank Fund, despite the fact that they're tied to the IMF and the World Bank, are not supposed to give out these loans to outside members, right? But it seems as though there's some weird inside interactions happening here, because I did some digging and I found that the IMF is actually a big fan of Lisa Cook, which, maybe this is what's tying it all together. If you do some digging, and we're going to expose this later in another video that sort of compiles all of this information together for you, Lisa Cook was actually given this beautiful article on the IMF website where they praised her and said that she's so wonderful, and they really spoke very highly of her. They also put out this podcast that she did. So it seems like there's some really interesting ties here happening between Bank Fund, the IMF, and the World Bank. According to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, ultimately, this is just giving you an idea of how liberal and progressive these people are. The IMF works to achieve sustainable growth and prosperity for all of its 191 member countries. It does so by supporting economic policies that promote financial stability and monetary cooperation, which it says are essential to increase productivity, job creation, and economic well-being. The World Bank, on the other hand, says, and I'm quoting, this is their mission statement, they're working to end extreme poverty and boost shared prosperity on a livable planet. This is threatened by multiple intertwined crises. Time is of the essence. So that gives you sort of some insight into what we're dealing with here, how corrupt these globalist-run organizations are, and begs the question, why is Lisa Cook being given mortgage loans by ultimately these two globalist-run banks? We're going to get to the bottom of it. We talked to Robert Bose, who is working inside to expose this, and again, is a first and second term Trump appointee. So without further ado, let's head over to Robert Bose in the interview we did with him earlier this morning. Thanks so much for watching Lindelltv. My name is Allison Steinberg. Lisa Cook was fired by President Trump for mortgage fraud. We are now outside of Bank Fund, the location where she got her loan for her mortgage, and we are here with appointee Robert Bose. Thanks so much for being with us, Robert. What can you tell us about this location here? What's going on with Bank Fund?
So, thank you, Allison. So Lisa Cook made declarations on her mortgage applications that were in direct conflict with what she told the Senate, the United States Senate, when she filed her financial statements. She told this credit union here that she had an Atlanta condo, the top of the Four Seasons, that was her primary residence or second home. But then she signs on her Senate confirmation papers that it's an investment property. So it's inconsistent. We really want somebody who's running the system, who's not cheating the system.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think that would be a given, but sadly, there seems to be quite a bit of corruption in our government. Can you explain how Bank Fund is connected with the World Bank and the IMF?
Oh, sure. So credit unions are allowed to put together these affinity groups, membership groups, where this one, their group it's called Bank Fund, and that's for the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. It's for their staff, which means their employees. So that's their credit union membership base and families. So they basically offer credit union services, and it's a way to kind of compete with the banks. And so they set up this up. But there's also one exception here.
Right.
This credit union allows citizens from Treasury terrorist countries on the OFAC list as well.
Oh, okay. Well, that's concerning, to say the least. Did Lisa Cook, to your knowledge, have any connection with the World Bank or the IMF? I mean, how is she getting access to these loans?
There's nothing on her employment records, what she told the Senate, that she never worked at the World Bank. She never worked at the International Monetary Fund. I don't believe her family had worked there. So I'm really wondering how she got to become a member. And maybe it was because of her kind of a sweet arrangement where she was in the Federal Reserve System when she was president of the Fed in Minneapolis. Maybe it's that, but it doesn't appear that she has eligibility.
Okay, so with that being said, why do you think Bank Fund would let her open accounts here if she has no familial connections and she's not a member herself?
Well, so some of the credit unions are, this one I think is kind of very aggressive in trying to get more members, more assets, more loans, and maybe they're pushing the regulations and kind of, opening up beyond their membership. They're supposed to file with the regulators their plan for their field of membership, and they may be going well beyond that. So maybe their regulator, the National Credit Union Association, will take a look at that.
Okay. Do you think perhaps there could be a connection to her previous line of work with the Council of Foreign Relations, maybe her position with the Obama administration that may have allowed some sort of compromise in this system here?
Well, it could be, yes. She was in the Obama White House. She was also on the Biden transition team while she was sort of in with Michigan State University doing, economic history or whatever there. So it's very possible that they may have bent their rules a little bit to allow somebody in the Obama-Biden team to get in here.
Well, that certainly seems to be the case. Now, there was an emergency hearing last Friday. We were there live reporting outside of that courthouse there. She was trying to get a temporary order granted so that she could work in the interim, though President Trump has officially fired her. Jerome Powell is continuing to let her work despite all this. What are your thoughts on that? And what does that say about Jerome Powell?
Well, first, you notice what Lisa Cook did not say, and her lawyers, Abby Lowell, in that hearing, they did not address, they didn't want to touch the allegations at all, because I think they have problems with that. She never came out and said where she lives. We still don't know where she lives. I think she told this credit union one thing. She tells the Senate a different thing. Right. She's got a place in Ann Arbor. She's got a place in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So who knows where she lives? She didn't want to touch that. But back to the Jay Powell thing. So the president's fired her, and he's got his constitutional right to do so for cause, and it appears there is cause. So Jay Powell needs to, I think, abide by that. If he doesn't abide by that, and he keeps letting Powell or Lisa Cook in the building, let her get into meetings, then you really wonder about the legitimacy of these meetings, and that's a bad look for too late Jay Powell.
Yeah,
we need to have, our financial system depends on confidence. And confidence is driven by integrity. When you have one of the board members out of integrity, you have to address that right away. So I see Powell being a little, again, too late on this one.
Yeah.
He's probably got a bunch of consultants and lawyers trying to figure this one out. But I'm hoping it does the right thing here and honors the president.
Absolutely. Well, too late seems to be a common theme for Jerome Powell. Do you think this could at all implicate him, or perhaps give the president grounds to take action and firing him in the near future with all of this happening?
Well, sure. So the Fed's got this fall meeting coming up September 16th and 17th, and they'll do voting there. And if Lisa Cook is in there while she's fired, that's not a legitimate vote. That's improper governance of the Fed, which again smacks of poor integrity. Americans want confidence. They want somebody who is not. They want somebody who's not saying one thing and doing another. Yeah. Same thing with Jay Powell. Jay Powell needs to run a tight ship with high integrity, or else he's you know, he has risk of being fired himself.
Good. Well, you heard it too late, Jay Powell. That's going to be your future if you don't get it together. But it just goes to show the common theme here, the immense corruption riddled throughout our government. Whereas if people like you or I tried something like this, we would be fully investigated and probably arrested. So it's far past time these people are looked into. Where do you ultimately see this ending up? Any further revelations as far as this investigation is concerned? And what is the ultimate goal here?
Well, sure. So a couple other things about this credit union here. They gave Cook these what appear to be really low rates, like 2.5% a mortgage and a 3 1/8% mortgage, and that was in kind of end of 2022, and that was when rates were going back up. So maybe, I think the regulators, NCUA, needs to take a look at the credit union's policies on rates. Maybe they gave her a sweetheart deal. We don't know. But the other thing that regulators ought to look at is these loans that she got were she told them they're personal residences or second homes.
Right.
And that is a different risk perspective for the mortgage. Credit unions, if they're properly represented as investment properties or rental properties, the credit unions are only limited in how much of that business they can do. It's like 12% of their assets. So the credit union might have been involved in this, basically saying, well, we're going to look the other way, and we want to get this business, this investment business or business loans that are capped by the regulator. So the regulators ought to look at that. But I think it needs more investigation. The system needs high integrity and consistency for everybody. And you know, when she's in there voting on cutting rates, when mortgages are now 6 and 7%, when she's got her own 2.5 and 3 1/8 mortgage. So it seems like it's a rule for her, but it's not a rule for everybody else.
Common theme amongst the Democrats. Rules for thee, but not for me. Robert Bose, thank you so much for all of your hard work into this and your insight into what's happening here. Any final thoughts for Lindelltv?
No, the president did the right thing to fire Miss Cook, and he wants, you know, I'm hoping she acts on that, clears out of the way, so the president can appoint somebody who actually knows what they're doing and is in high integrity.
Absolutely. Well, Robert Bose, thank you so much for your time and insight. You're watching Lindelltv. Thanks so much.